exalts a nation, but sin is the reproach of any people. My friends, good night. Good night to the good people of Parish Land and Pilgrim Road. To those of you who come from the surrounding area of Southern Heights and Durance, Oyston, those of you from wider Christchurch, including Christchurch West, and all the Barbados Labour Party family, I feel it is fitting that tonight the Barbados Labour Party would pitch its tent in the presence of the Most High God. And it is fitting that our chairman, thanks to them, Indar and Noel, would open this meeting with reference from the Bible. Because yes, righteousness exalts a people, but sin is the reproach of any people. My friends, we are here tonight to keep a promise to you. We told you when we assumed the responsibility of Her Majesty's loyal opposition that we would stand in the breach for you, that we would be your eyes and your ears, that we would hold the feet of the government to the fire, and any time that they slip up, that we would stand in the breach and be your voice and be your protection. And so tonight we mount this platform again, to speak on behalf of our people in what is possibly the most turbulent social and industrial time since the turn of this century. This week, my friends, we saw the union NUPW with its new guard. We saw them take up the fight for members of the BIDC. We saw them call out and call upon the strength of their members to stand for these people. And all across Barbados, there was a debate on whose law was right. Was the law that the BIDC referred to, was that the law? Was the law that the NUPW referred to, was that the predominant law? But I am here to say to you that what transpired this week had nothing to do with the laws of Barbados. Yes, I will let them go to court and they can thrash the laws out. But I am here to put you on notice that what transpired this week goes far, far, far beyond 13 people reaching the age of 60 at the BIDC and going home and being in dispute with a questionable law. My friends, I want to take you back to the heart of what is plaguing this country, Barbados. I am telling you that the retrenchment at the BIDC is but the tip of the iceberg. It is the tip because it is the fulfillment of a promise that was made by the Minister of Finance last year and the year before, when he said that they were going to be looking at statutory enterprises as a way of dealing with expenditure. I don't know if you recall, he said that there were about maybe 9,000 people in statutory corporations throughout Barbados, and that they were looking to reduce those numbers. The BIDC is but the first, and there will be more. In fact, let me remind you, for those of you who may have forgotten what he said last year in December, he said in his ministerial statement, there will be reform of some state-owned enterprises, and it will be done in 4 clusters. He said, 1, they will start with Urban and Rural Development Commission and the National Housing Corporation. 2, the National Sports Council, Wilde Gymnasium, and Kensington Oval Management Inc. 3, Barbados Tourism Development and Needham Point Development. And 4, Needham Point Management Inc. and Hotel Resort Inc. My friends, today for the BIDC, tomorrow for Urban and Rural Development Commission, the next day for the National Housing Corporation, the next day for COMI, the next day for Hotel and Resorts Inc. The people of this country, your neck is on the chopping block. And why is your neck on the chopping block? We have a government that is being held by the neck and led where it does not want to go, because they have so mismanaged the economy of this country. They have so increased the national debt that we are in the throes of a crisis, a debt crisis. We are borrowing to pay debt, and there are very few people today, very few lending agencies that are prepared to lend Barbados any money. And those who are prepared to lend Barbados money are demanding that we follow IMF recommendations. We are in an austerity program without calling its name, but the impact is the same. Our people's necks are on the chopping block, and week after week after week, people will go home. So when you see the unions marching, know that it is not just for an interpretation of the law. They are marching for you. Today for you, tomorrow for someone else. If you have friends, if you have family, your necks are on the chopping block. And I will say to you that every social and industrial unrest in this country rests in the heart of the fiscal mismanagement of an apathetic government that does not care about you, its people. Every year since this government gained office, they have spent more money than they have the capacity to earn. Every year. In the first year, it was $400 million, and our deficit shot up. By the second year, 2009, it was $822 million that they spent more or in excess of what they earned. In the next 4 years, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, it rose precipitously to over $1 billion and continued to increase to $1.4 billion last year, and this year to $1.7 billion. My friends, we need to ask the government, why is it that year after year they are spending this money? They are not spending the money on the public service. They are not spending it to improve social support. They are not spending it to improve the infrastructure of the country. Where is this money going? There are some who have lost confidence in a government to manage the public purse, because they say that this insatiable appetite for spending, or rather for raping the public purse, is a disservice to this country. And there are some of us who might be inclined to think, but exactly what is it that they are doing? Excuse me. When you have a government that insists that they must pay exorbitant legal fees, for example, and a legal opinion that would otherwise attract $50,000 attracts $750,000. That is $700,000 that is not available for national development. Where is that money going? When they insist that they must build molasses tanks at $12 million, when we can have the same tanks for $3 million, where is that $8 million going? When you have a government that insists that they must build a sugar factory for $500 million, even though we are registering our lowest yields of sugar, you ask yourself, why do they have to do it? Why are they choosing to spend the public purse in this way? When they insist that they must finish a St. John Polyclinic, 4 years later they cannot finish it, and the cost is twice what it was designed to cost. There are those who say that these punitive projects that do not serve the national good at this time serve only the personal and private good of the friends and family of those in high places. And this we must stop. We have to put a stop to this. Because when I reflect on how we have fallen away from all that was prosperous and developmental in this country, when I look at the psychiatric hospital, for example, and I see the working conditions of the people who must work there, the nurses, when I see blown tiles in a mental institution, fungus on the roof, soiled materials, dried dehydrated pellets for a meal, I say it is a disservice to a vulnerable set of people who need the nurturing of an entire society. And when you ask me, but what is $1 million if you get $1 million in legal opinion fees? What is $1 million in a $4 billion economy? I am saying, What difference would $1 million make at the psychiatric hospital? What difference will $1 million make to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, to areas where there are no drugs? We have taken drugs off of a formulary to save $1.35 million. But we can still build molasses tanks for $12 million that we don't need. We have a child care board that is struggling because they are short-staffed. What difference would it make to the child care board if we invested that money in the right places? What difference would it make to the National Assistance Board and the Welfare Department when you know that we are struggling? We all have friends and family who are struggling. And when they approach these boards for assistance, you hear there is no more money. Fiscal mismanagement is destroying this country. And the reason that we are here is that the country can no longer absorb the imprudence and the mismanagement of a government that does not care about its people. But I have a message for you, because tonight I am telling you that you have got to stand for something. We have got to stand for something. Otherwise we will lose everything. And I want you from today to speak to yourself and to say that we as a people will no longer accept the disrespect of a government that only uses our money to empower their friends and family. The only promise that they have kept to this nation is families first, because it is families first. They make all kinds of scornful promises to Barbadians. Do you remember when they came to government? They said that they would introduce integrity legislation. Do you remember that? ITIL, integrity, transparency, and accountability legislation. Has it been proclaimed? No. No. But yet last year, the minister came with a fiscal responsibility law. I am reminding him and I am reminding you that he said the government would introduce a fiscal responsibility law to determine how to manage the public purse. But do you know why I am reminding you of these things tonight? Because this country, Barbados, is signatory to the UN Convention. Excuse me. To the UN Convention Against Corruption. A treaty that will ensure that public officers from politicians back down will not rape the public purse again. They will ensure that any public officer who is found guilty, we, the people of Barbados, can initiate legal proceedings against them. And we can take measures to recover money taken from the public purse. Yes, we can lock them up. Yes, we can lock them up. But inasmuch as our government talks about integrity legislation and fiscal responsibility law, they do not have the nerve to ratify the UN Convention Against Corruption that Barbados is a signatory to. And I want to know why not. make the national sacrifice, you and your family. If you have members who have been retrenched and had to go home because of a national debt that we did not create and was not spent on us, as I have had relatives that have had to go home, let us join together tonight and put pressure on this government to ratify the UN Convention Against Corruption. Tonight I am calling on all of us who can hear my voice. I am calling on all the civil societies in this country. I am calling on the churches of this country. I am calling on all you who love Barbados to put pressure on this government to ratify the convention, to stop the public purse from being raped. When members of the BIDC go home, that is but a tip of the iceberg. And week after week and month after month, we are going to come under the chopping block. But I say to you, no more. Do you stand with me in putting pressure on this government? If you stand with me, raise your hand. I want to see you. I want to see you. Because from tonight, midnight, we promise that there will be a motion and a movement in our country, Barbados, when we accept that we can take our nation back. From tomorrow, this Barbados government will have to start the necessary legislation to have that treaty ratified. Too long it was signed. Time for ratification. Time for taking Barbados back. Time for putting our country on the growth path. Time for us to claim what is rightfully ours and to punish those who would conspire to destroy my future and your future and our children's future. We are here tonight on this platform because this is an action platform. We are not here to merely talk and complain and point fingers. No, tonight we start the movement to take back our country. My people, good night. God bless.